Elevated Grapes Podcast.
Elevated Grapes Podcast.
With your host, Seth.
And
stylist, Rashi Bindra.
It's time to get started.
Let's talk fashion, shall we?
Everybody's ready?
Really?
Always
You're
ready.
like sitting?
Everybody's ready. Always ready.
Always ready.
All right, so welcome to Elevated Grapes. I am your host, Sethi.
And I am stylist and fashion consultant, Rashi Bindra. And go.
This is your part. And together we are both your co-host, as Rashi would usually say.
Yes, and we are both your co-hosts.
We haven't even started yet, and there's already all sorts of laughs happening.
Good vibes.
Good vibes, exactly. So that's your word, right? Vibes. Vibes is your
word.
Straight.
Vibes and straight. So we're very, very honored to have Kavita Suri with us today, and I don't even know where to start with you because I've known you as a friend for so long, and I've always, before even I got started with all this stuff, you were so heavily involved in the industry, doing so many amazing things. You have your spa now is like it's at a different level. But you started off with when you had your spa, when you were just starting off with it, and where it's grown. So let's talk about that a little bit. So Kavita Suri owns a medical spa in sort of like the heart of Yorkville, but it's not just a typical spa, which you would think a medical spa is. So we thought it'd be so important to have you on the show because it sort of showcases the fusion of both the beauty, the medical side, and the fashion world. Absolutely. In terms of what you're doing with your space. So let's talk about that a little bit in your journey and what the spa is about to you.
So I started my journey when I was 19 years of age, and it was...
And today you're 21.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. So it's been 2 years. That's a very strong 2 years.
It's
21, yeah.
It's a strong 2 years.
I won't tell you the year. But at that time, there wasn't a lot of, South Asian makeup artists or beauty entrepreneurs doing their thing because I think we just naturally in a culture where we're like, go to university, get a job, or get married, and that's it.
Pretty much.
So,
Was that the pressure you got a lot when you were younger?
It was an expectation.
Right.
I don't know if my parents ever really pressured me.
But the expectation.
Yeah, the expectation was definitely there.
Yeah, become a doctor, a lawyer, engineer, and get married.
Get married.
Yeah. Pop out some kids.
Get married. And you're like, I'm like, maybe I don't want to do that.
Right.
Maybe I always felt like since I was 16 that I was going to do amazing things in the community and for mainly women entrepreneurs and women in business, or women in general, just help mentor them and inspire them. So with that being said, it was the kick with the makeup. And with the makeup, it was the niche for South Asian bridal. Right. And literally no one at the time was doing it. It was actually one girl named Sandy that was doing it.
Right.
And then I didn't know until I got into it that there was another
person that was
doing it, because I've always been the type of entrepreneur or person. I don't look at what other people are doing. I just want to do what I want to do, and I'm going to be great at it. Okay. So with that being said, it just kind of flourished from makeup artistry to training other women to become professional makeup artists under a government recognized academy with my own program, which got commissioned into 3 academies. Now to a medical spa. So I started off in my parents' basement while I was studying. So I would do my...
Were you going to school for this at that time, or were you studying for something else?
For marketing.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
But we're going to talk about that because I'm sure that played a huge factor in how you built your business too.
Yeah, so when I was in high school, I actually was modeling for a South Asian agency, and that's what got me kind of more of the interest of doing makeup for photo shoots and for brides, because I saw that this is gonna really kind of pick up. Yeah. And it did. So with that, doing the makeup, it just helped me kind of look at more things I wanted to push myself to do within the realm of beauty.
So a lot of people that get into the makeup world sort of stay there. They're, it's like, this is what I love doing, and I'm gonna just work on my makeup artistry business. But for you, like the drive was to do something more,
Always.
and to build something bigger out of it. So what was
100%.
what was the motivation, that initial, like what was like, I want to do something different or outside of just makeup?
Well, I've always wanted to know. I've always known inside I was going to have a spa.
Okay.
How and what it would look like, I had no idea, but the intention was there.
Right.
The makeup was a great start, and then I built from makeup to doing hair and makeup to doing obviously dupatta setting, all of that, which is like dressing for the Indian bride, then to training. Because what happens is, I feel, is after 7 to 8 years, almost 10 years, you become a master in your craft. And
Yes.
You have to share your knowledge. Like, you can never keep what's inside of you, because it's meant to be shared with others.
Absolutely.
This is what I call karma currency.
Explain that concept, because that's really cool. So what's karma currency?
Karma currency is something that you do in good kindness and your good heart to help another person without any expectation, right? So naturally, if I'm teaching someone, there has to be an exchange, a monetary exchange. If someone just needs some advice, it's for free.
Right.
So
You're smiling. Something went through your head.
What is that Hulk there?
Oh. So
why,
usually,
why do you have a gold mic and I don't?
there's so many questions. There's so many questions. There's so many questions right now. So first of all, the Hulk is usually a staple in most of our podcasts. There's a couple that he's missing in because he had to go to get his beauty rest. Went through his spot. So, but we keep the
She's
Hulk.
right here.
Yeah, no, we need to.
We have a live one. We have a live one. So since we don't have a live Hulk, we keep the beauty.
Actually,
I'm like trying to give my serious answer. I'm looking. I'm like, why is this a random?
I forgot to put him in the middle of the scene as well.
Just to talk about that Wonder Woman aspect, the reason I said that was because years ago in Montreal, when I first started leaving my parents' business and started doing what I wanted to do, one of my friends, and right now he's an amazing artist, he actually gifted me this Wonder Woman mug. And he's like, this is going to be you, and this is you. And this was like years ago. I still have that mug on my dresser. And it reminds me of like him and everything I do and stuff. So that's why I have that saying that, it's like life right here.
Yeah.
Once she tried to show up to our show in the Wonder Woman outfit, we're like, no. That cannot happen. Like, we're not putting you on camera with that thing on.
I have gotten a lot of no's.
You're pushing it, girl. You're pushing it. Call yourself what you want me, not wearing that.
I call myself
There's
a lot of
a
things.
dress code.
There's a dress code. Yeah, we need to be fully clothed for this podcast.
But you know what? There's one thing that you said which actually resonates, and it's so true. And I don't think people still realize the power of that, which is setting that intention. Sometimes you don't need to have all the answers. You don't need to know, but you just know within you that you are going to do something great. That you are going to do something in a field. What, how, when? Once you start leaving those answers to fate and just keep doing what you gotta do, we end up with what you have right now, right? And this is a very beautiful space. And as someone who was new in Toronto, and then I heard about you, and I've been following you for a while, I was just like, holy shit, man, this, like, she rocks, and then this circle came together.
The circle of wonder. Yeah. So what we're gonna do? So we'll get you to talk, and we'll get you to talk about the space now in your current spa, because this is also something new, and there's been a whole bunch of revamp and that sort of thing, from what I understand. So talk about that a little bit, and what the spa is, what purpose it serves, and why it's unique from other spas. And as you're doing that, I'm going to showcase we'll dig some shots, and we'll show that in the background. But so tell us a little bit more about the spa.
So I kind of going back to the universe will always serve you. Your intention will always show up. How it will show up, you don't know, right? So I started off in my parents' basement, and it was extremely busy. And they're like, okay, we need our space. We need our home. Thursday to Sunday, because it was like ding dong, ding dong, ding dong, like literally nonstop. So I was like, okay. So I took the step, and I was subleasing in a salon on Hazelton. It was like this board.
I remember that.
Do you remember?
Yes. I think I went there once, but I remember you on Hazelton for a number of years.
Yeah, for I would say from 2007 till 2012.
Right.
And it was within a hair salon, and it really gave me an opportunity to kind of feel out what it is to be, a small business owner. And I think that's really important, like as much as our dreams are big, to always start small and sit there for 3 to 5 years and then move. Right? It's not about, okay, just got to do big because I have to show people, I have to prove people.
Right.
Well, it's really interesting you say that because you, like you mentioned, when you were a home-based business, you also had a lot of following. At that time, you had a strong clientele. Like, it's almost easy to say, well, I got this because I have a base and I have a clientele. I can go big now and I can make, like, the spa that you wanted to do.
I could have opened up a shop in Brampton or Mississauga, not to say there's anything wrong with it, but it was never my forte.
Right. You wanted something
I
different.
wanted something different. I wanted to offer, a city experience, a luxury experience to my clientele is mainly women of color that can feel that experience and not feel subjected that they're only within a certain city range.
Yeah.
So when I did take the step to open up in Yorkville, a lot of people, there always be naysayers when you're trying to grow. And they're like, you're really going to try to open up in Yorkville? Who's going to come out there? I'm like, they're going to come there. Yeah. If they want me to do their service, they're going to come. So I did. And I had clients coming, and still to this day, from like everywhere. Brampton, Oakville, Deeps, Burlington.
People come.
Like Pickering, Ajax, they're going to come.
Yeah.
Here if they want the service.
We're going to take a quick break and we're going to come right back.
Hey guys, we're taking a quick break just to remind you where you can find our podcast online.
You can find us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Tunes.
Apple Music, but you call it Apple Tunes.
Whatever.
Right. You can also find us on TuneIn, on Google Play, and of course Instagram when we do it the first Tuesday of every month.
And Facebook, here and there.
Here and there.
Here and there.
So thanks for tuning in, and now back to our podcast.
And welcome back. And we're going to say this one more time because, well, we started this before and I forgot to turn the mics on, so we had to stop and restart. But we brought a guest date for Kavita.
Hulk, strong and almighty.
She's now doing commercials and ads for the Hulk.
Strong. Oh my.
So Mattel or whatever company represents the Hulk.
Just like reach out to this boss lady, like right here.
Absolutely. She could be your next spokesperson for the Hulk.
Okay, so she's dating the Hulk.
Yeah. And you're thinking about Wonder Woman outfits.
Yes, I'm not dating her. I'm just thinking about her outfits.
Right.
I look super hot in them.
Yo, what's with the self-cocky?
There's no cockiness. Like
self-confident statements there.
Self-confident.
Self-confident. I'm outnumbered here. I'm going to stop talking.
Don't play on a woman's confidence.
So much confidence. When does confidence become cockiness?
Sister, you got a mom at home.
Yeah. They're confident ladies. They're confident ladies.
You're like used to this.
So many, it's a lot to deal with at once.
You got this.
So
sometimes it's like
when you need to stop. You know when you're gonna, like the claws are gonna come out sucker.
So many claws. But I have a lot of scratches because. So we're talking about Kavita's spa and the space. So you were telling us about the space and how this space came about and the unique idea of this space.
Right. So I did, like I was saying, I had a location on Hazelton. It was a sublease within a spa, and I was really just doing makeup trials and basic aesthetics. So it's like, waxing, light manicure, pedicure kind of thing. And then, and also started training, one-on-one training within that little space. And then that's when, it got winged through this academy that, I teach really well. And then it got,
It became like bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah, collabed, and it was really good. So
you're doing a lot of teaching and training as well with that.
Mm-hmm.
You're doing a lot of teaching and training as well?
No, I retired doing my makeup now and
right.
my teaching and training, and I just wanted to focus
on building the spa. Yeah.
And when that transition is going to happen, because you're gonna feel it. You're gonna feel that the wheels are slowing down.
I need to grow. I need something different.
You have to graduate and honor everything that brought you in order to move on. So that space, and then I had the opportunity to open up a medical spas within Walmart. So I had about
that's pretty cool.
8 locations, which I shut down real quick
because
it didn't, as much as the investors kind of brought to the table that this is a great idea. Within months you're going to make this per month and whatever it is. To me, that kind of money doesn't matter to me. What matters to me is my happiness and what is happening within that one space.
Right.
And I wasn't happy with the way they were expanding too fast. And it's just ego. It's just all ego stuff. So it's like I'm out. This isn't what I'm doing. So
Like, did you not feel that you felt it wasn't representative of your brand? Did you feel that it was just missing the element of the customer piece? Like, what was missing to you?
It wasn't representative on what the business stands by, which is
Right.
care and truth in everything that you do in the beauty industry. So, and those kind of like business ideas close quick,
Right.
Because intention within the group wasn't.
It's very different. It's not genuine.
And you know what? That's actually very brave of you to take that step and to like recognize the fact that this does not. Yes, like the money's great and all those things are fantastic, but this is not resonating with who I am and who I stand for. And that's actually something very brave.
Of course, and
people don't do that.
because you're sticking true to what you are looking for out of the business.
I always do. I always know what I want. I always know what how I'm gonna get it, and if it costs like seeing your entire empire fall.
Sometimes you have to.
You see that fall in that darkness, which we are seeing that right now.
Yeah.
That within weeks or days, it's gonna be okay. Like we're gonna find that space where we're gonna succeed, right?
And sometimes you have to, right? I truly believe that if you do not go through some sort of hardship, breakdown, fall down, even darkness, you will not reach that next step.
No.
You will always be in that bubble and that zone.
That
And
comfort zone.
I mean, for like some people, that's fine. But I think for like women like yourself, like even like us, and a lot of people that we've had on the podcast as well, the one thing that's been a common thread is that we've all in our own ways gone through a bit of darkness. We've all fallen through, and then that's where we all end up rising. That's such an important thing. Yeah.
And the courage in recognizing what's right and what's wrong for you, because sometimes you may think, you know what, this is probably not the direction I want to go in, but I'm going to stick with it because I started it. Mm-hmm. It looks good. I've have the Walmart brand with me.
Your skin looks good. What are you doing?
Thank you.
Are you using retinol?
No.
What are you using?
Are you using that mask?
I use this is such a weird conversation. I use a charcoal face wash.
Oh, is it the one that I gave with all that gift stuff? Or it's
No, this one I
Moisturizer
went.
are you using?
Yeah.
I just use regular cream. This is like the worst thing to tell someone in the beauty industry.
I like how both just jumped on his skin right
My
now.
face, my like I get dry skin. Like, it's not that my hand, I just feel the dry skin. So even every time I wash my hands, which obviously now you're doing a gajillion times more than regular, I'm washing my hands, and then every time I put cream on my hands, I have to put cream on my face. It's like this weird natural reaction. So
Like this?
yeah, so that's what I do. It's like even when I'm at the office.
Are you saying you're using hair cream on your face?
Are you gonna murder me? right now?
Sagar. Mic check. No.
Your mic is on.
I love it.
Listen, I work in hosting and styling. I don't work in beauty. So
That does not matter.
So-
I am your like business
But
partner.
hold on a minute.
I keep telling you stuff.
On my face.
let's discuss for a moment the fact that you started this part of the conversation with saying your face looks really good. What do you do with it? So maybe there's something to be said that the hand cream adds something to it.
So I was saying,
Good old hand lotion.
yeah, good old.
And you know what? It's let's not go there. It's not what we're talking about. We're keeping this PG.
Yeah.
Keeping this
I
PG.
am just I just literally had the image in my mind. Of
Listen here, Wonder
that
Woman.
cream.
Listen here, Wonder Woman. Keep your thoughts to your Wonder Woman
myself?
outfit. To your Wonder Woman outfit. And you think about the Hulk. But I'm just saying, there's nothing wrong with a little bit of cocoa butter hand cream.
No.
Thank you
It has to be
for-
cocoa butter.
for telling us
Yeah,
that.
okay. At least cocoa butter.
Cocoa butter.
There we
Thank
go.
God. Yeah.
Right. And sometimes I buy it from Walmart.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
Brand.
there's definitely one.
It's the Vaseline brand. God, what are we talking about?
Your face.
Yeah, my hand cream rituals.
Do your friends ask you about your skin?
Sometimes.
Yeah, right.
Actually, like only one of my friends regularly, or common friends.
Okay.
Yeah, she asks me all the time. She's like, "What do you do with your face?" I'm like, "Nothing."
Guys don't ask you?
No, it's not a conversation most guys will have with each other. There's some guys who will, because they're into like that sort of
Yeah, I
thing.
think guys need to a little bit more. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm with you on that.
Like, so I actually have a lot of male friends that do the whole manicure, pedicure. I actually don't do it. Like, I'm not a big like advocate of it. It's just because I don't like people touching my nails at all. So I can't do it.
Yeah, that's cool.
But I have a lot of guy friends that will do it regularly, once every couple weeks and that sort of thing, just to keep that.
Just keep.
It's just healthy. It's a healthy
It is.
thing to continue, right? Okay.
Okay.
So we're back. We're off my hygiene rituals now. Can we move on?
Yes.
No one's ever been on the show and then questioned me like that's,
I'm loving her right now. Like, I actually want to like get up and give her a big hug for this. And I just want to bow down. I'm like, oh my god.
I don't get nervous and anxious on our show, but right now I'm a little bit anxious. Like, I'm a little bit like why am I on the spot? I'm sweating a little bit. What is happening? Why am I being asked all these questions? Did this conversation happen before?
No.
And ever since the Hulk showed up, things have changed.
Strength. The Almighty.
The Almighty.
Wonder Woman.
The Almighty, right in the middle. That's great. He's got the whole like
Yeah, he's bringing the power.
Yeah. Okay, so back to the spa.
And not your skin.
And not my skin. We could definitely have a conversation around some skincare treatment. I will definitely take your advice and come to you for it.
Okay.
But we'll have it off
We'll do
camera.
that off
Okay.
mic.
Thank you.
So,
I appreciate that.
So
I'm gonna continue blushing while you talk.
yeah, you're still nervous.
So nervous. I don't get nervous. This is weird.
Don't talk.
Love this. Oh my god, it's my favorite podcast right now ever.
When you're nervous, Sagar, like you keep talking.
No, I do. I talk all the time. You know
Yeah.
this.
Yeah,
There's a lot of
not-
babbling.
Yeah, he talks.
I probably talk a lot faster and I babble a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then my cheeks get red. Can we not
Yeah.
talk about me?
Big time.
Can we change the topic again? Now my skin is no longer nice because it's all red. It's like blotchy and red.
Like nice and red here, like nose and
Yeah.
there you go.
So back on track. So from that Yorkville location, I then had the Walmart locations. I closed them down, and then I moved here actually at Young and Charles. It was again a shared space, but I went from a 500 square foot to 850 square foot space. And again, it wasn't the same. It was like I had a little room, and then within that room, I just like built and built and built, and then I saved and I did a build out, which gave me that 850 square foot space, 3 treatment rooms, a nice little reception area, and I just worked so hard. I focused. I didn't care if people were like, time for you to expand. I'm like, it's not going to happen until like God will always show me. He always shows me like when it's my time to shift or whatever it is. And it happened actually this year. And I was telling a common friend of ours, Saima, in January, like we always have like a New Year meeting, whatever. And I said, I think this is going to be the year where I open up that space that I visioned, where it's going to be a spa and a co-working event space for women entrepreneurs and beauty professionals, because I've had a lot of women be like, I want a space where I can do events or where you can do pop-up shops. I'm like, not yet. Like, I don't have the room, but it'll eventually.
So they actually, before you set this space up, they came to you asking you. That's pretty cool.
Be like, can we do our events here? I'm like, there's not a lot of space, but eventually we'll get there. And so in July, it was time for me to move because I'm just going to keep it transparent. The other guy couldn't uphold his
end of the bargain. Got you. Fair enough.
So it was a decision.
It was almost like a sign for you.
It was. I was like, this is the time.
Yeah.
Right.
I knew it. I was like, this is the time. So either I had a choice to negotiate with that landlord and say, listen, prove to him that I'm a really good tenant, just give me this space, get the other, whoever's going to take that space, let them keep. But I was like, that's feeding into fear. That's how I'm not going to grow through this.
Right.
So basically within.
Wasn't it like, but what part of that fear was real for you? Like like my clients, they know my place, they know this area, they know where to come. Like what was one of the biggest fears of leaving? Because you had space. So it's not like you couldn't take over the lease and continue what you were doing. Like, what was your biggest fear at that moment?
It was a sense of like, I had a lot of people counting on me.
Okay.
Like I had, mainly like, your staff and, your clientele, very busy. So it was just like, I didn't let them know. I just kind of went into a shell. I got off of Instagram and I really focused my energy obviously I pray every morning, but my prayers became stronger. My faith fell a little bit. There's times where I wake
Of course,
up
it's
at
tough.
night.
You're being tested.
I'd wake up and wanting to like literally throw up because I was so nervous. But I was like, I'm just gonna get through this. And it was interesting. As soon as the moment that I decided to stop looking for the space found me.
Oh wow, explain that.
So naturally, when you are looking for a space, you obtain a real estate agent, which
Right.
I had an amazing one. Her name is Shay Invidiata.
Okay.
She mainly does, homes and all that, not much commercial, but that's another interesting story. In April, her and I went to Mexico and we're having dinner, and I looked at her, I'm like, I think this is going to be the year where I'm going to have to look for a new space, but you're going to be the real estate agent. My brother is one, but he does more, bigger, like land, gas station stuff.
Larger commercial transactions.
Yeah, and I just knew that, like, it has to be the right person. It's a relationship. To me, it's not a transaction. It's not like, okay, here, bye. For me, it's like you got to be part of the happy process and the pain process in this, because it's.
And they got to understand your journey and what you're looking for, because it's not just a space.
Yeah. So within literally, I had to be out of there September 30th. I didn't start looking till April 15th.
Holy moly! So you were very last minute with it.
Yeah, because I'm really into astrology, and there's a planet that's called the planet Mercury, which is
The Mercury retrograde.
There's a huge retrograde in July. I'm like, I can't look for anything.
Right.
I had to literally sit still, and it was driving me nuts.
And that's what people don't realize, is that sometimes our belief in these spiritual realms in different ways, and that is, for those who believe in it, that's sometimes where our faith comes from, and that actually drives us. And when we don't realize it, or people around us are just like, okay, whatever. But when we end up doing what we set out to do, it all just kind of comes together in its own crazy way.
Yeah.
So
then there was obviously listings on that MLS, and within the range that I wanted to look, we went and looked. But again, while I was looking, I was like, it's not.
It wasn't speaking to you.
Yeah, I'm like,
it wasn't speaking to you.
What was speaking to me is that the space is already made, but I just have to just let that fear go even more. Like, it was like this test where it's like, become more fearless, Kavita. Like, become even more. I'm fearless, but become even more fearless.
So what kind of things did you do? I mean, you speak to, like, you pray and that sort of thing. What kind of things did you do internally? What conversations did you have with yourself or others to help you build up that courage and get to that point where you just trust that it's going to happen right?
So the first thing I did was cut out noise, right? So Instagram.
Right.
I didn't let my family know, because naturally they're going to worry.
Everyone's going to have an opinion.
I let my staff know that we're moving, and the reason why, but I also let them know during this time, you're not to ask me if I found a space and how things are going. We're going to focus on what we're doing every single day, and we're going to be fantastic and great at doing it every single day.
That's awesome advice for your team. Like, that's incredible.
Yeah, and I'm like, that I got this, and I will find something above and beyond our expectations.
I love that.
That's incredible.
So,
and they must have really appreciated that.
They did, but I could see sometimes
them.
they were like,
of course.
so I'm like, nope, that's the deal.
Yeah.
If you don't trust me, then we can't work together.
So with your staff, is it very is it a very family environment? Like, do you guys have that kind of relationship here?
Very intimate, very family, very supportive. Is number one. Support and respect is key in here before anything else.
So then you're with the real estate agent, and you guys
so we're looking
putting together the ideas.
Yeah, and it was the week. So I went and I decided, okay, I'll do my own walk around, right? Because there's not a lot of listings out here that are not listed on a realtor's listing. They're very into like private commercial businesses, corporations that have their own listing. And I walked around. There's actually a location on Bay Scholar that I looked at. It was gorgeous, like 2,800 square feet. It had its own elevator, but it was not like, there was no flooring, there was no plumbing, I would have to spend a lot of money on the leasehold. Right. However, I put my offer in. But I didn't like that she wasn't, as much as like the way the economy is right now, and that space has been on lease for some time, she wasn't giving in. And I was like, it's not going to happen. Like, you just lost a really big business coming in here to make things happen for you. So I didn't sign up.
Right.
And that's at that moment. It was the week of August 20th that I just kind of was like, okay, no more. Like, no more looking. I'm just going to breathe right through this.
And so now you're a month out.
Yeah, I'm a month out.
Yeah, there's a month out. You're like, that's it. I can't look right now.
No.
Okay.
So again, I took a break.
Okay.
I was like, and taking breaks during times of like hypersensitivity or like super high stress is really important. Just like take that moment. You're like, even if it's 3 days, you're like, okay, I'm not looking. I'm not going to talk to my realtor about this anymore. I'm just going to take a break from it. So actually, I was over at McEwen and I grabbed a coffee. It was Saturday, August 24th. It was beautiful out, and I was walking, and I looked up. So literally, my spot was right here,
and
like in the corner.
Like done that.
Yeah.
Yeah, just
And I
down the
looked
street.
up.
So
I'm like, oh my god, that place has been on lease for like 6 months, and I was like, really, like the windows were like dirty. It had this really gaudy sign, like just. You know, it was a green beauty spot, and I was just like, so I messaged my realtor. I'm like, there's something about this space. I need to look in this space. So she's like, it was Saturday, and she's like, okay, let's see if we can get it on Monday because we're looking at a couple of spaces. She messaged. She was like, you can't believe we actually got accepted to go on in Monday.
Oh wow.
I have a couple of listings. Let's go. So we went and looked at a couple of listings, and I literally walked in here. It did not look like this. However, the structure was here, like the rooms were here, the washroom or whatever, everything was here. I walked in and it wasn't. I didn't even walk into the rest of the space.
You just knew.
I walked in and I literally, and I'm open to talk about this, I literally felt this woman's spirit take me and said, and was like, this is it. Like literally I have goosebumps.
The energy was right. You just felt the energy.
The female energy in here, like the female spirit in here is so strong. And that was it. And then I put my offer in, and it was literally green light, and everything that I countered, it was green light. Yes, 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 like total green light. And again, I went even deeper, like I wasn't going out. I was just really focusing on what I need to do at this moment, and
it just worked. So let me ask you a question, because you bring this up a couple of times, like the energy that you felt, like the female energy, the female entrepreneurship, you know, women as entrepreneurs. Like how important is that to you, to your team, to your staff, and to the way you run your business?
It's very important. It's high priority. It's number one high priority. It's about, you know, the energy you bring in this space every single day, in your day, and to your clients every single day. It has to be very consistent. And so I have like a no tolerance for negative energy. If I hear anything, I'm very like blunt and almost like bitchy about if you have any negative thought. It's like I'll cut it right there.
Right,
like it's
right.
not happening.
Vibes, positive vibes.
Big vibes.
Because I mean, like that, like we walked in here early before we set up. Like the first thing I remember is, like I just said to him, like, you get to come here every day, and I hadn't even seen the rest of it. Like I was just in the like it was just that feel
that it just hit you.
It hits you as soon as you walk in. As soon as you walk in. So talk to us about the pineapples, because we're like, Kavita's like, you can choose any spot in here where you want to record.
The pineapple.
And Rashi's like, this wall, we want this wall. So talk to us about the pineapples.
So before I talk about the pineapples, the whole, I guess, decor theme, my girlfriend and I, Eldelka, who owns Interior Impressions, also a furniture store called Kare on Queen Street, I, again, turned to her and I was like, you're going to be the one that's going to help me bring my vision to life. And I can say, I know, Sagar, you're sitting here, and I'm not trying to, like, you know,
it's cool.
segregate, but this...
You are a little bit, but that's okay.
Yeah.
I can accept it. Go get some cream.
But
go
get some real cream.
hand cream. Hand cream is fine, yeah.
I'm sure Kavita has some real cream. I can go find that.
No, it's not cream. It's butter.
Sagar walking out with a pink bag with skincare.
Yeah. I'm okay with that.
Please, I will take that picture. I will frame that picture.
As long as the bag has a pineapple on it, I'm good.
So, basically, my decor vision was tropical, but very kind of chic. You know, like very chic tropical.
I like that word. Bullshit.
Yeah. So I'm sure you've seen the rest of the space. It's exactly that.
It's gorgeous.
And I really like accent walls. So this was going to be an accent wall, but I'm like, well, what do I do with it? Pineapples.
Awesome.
I don't know why. But
It's just that's I love pineapples.
Vibe. Like
It
brings literally. It's funny because the custom wallpaper I got, people like that. But then when they see the wallpaper, this isn't even wallpaper. I'll tell you about this.
Is it actual paint?
No, they're individual stencil
Oh my
stickers.
That's so cool.
From Amazon, and this whole thing was cost $30.
It's incredible.
But it was
Such an impact.
A girlfriend and I, Sonia Chic Events, she helped me put this wall up, and it took us about 2 hours to sticker everything. She wanted to kill me.
Right.
But I mean, she offered her help. I was like, so you're going to help me with this wall.
But it does look like they're properly stenciled out, spaced out, like a wallpaper.
Yeah.
So it's quite, and that takes a lot of time to do what you did with it.
But and that's what I think it was important that, even though I had a contractor doing stuff and I could have gotten him to do it or whatever, I wanted my hand in it. Like I wanted my hand and energy in your space,
in what you're doing.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting, and I'm hearing another theme over and over with you, is that the partners that you work with, whether it's the realtor or whether it's a friend helping you to put this up, or the interior design, like a lot of these are not just business partners, but they're also very close friends of yours. Yeah. So talk to us about that, how that fits into just your thought where business is concerned as an entrepreneur. Like, do you work with a lot of friends, or do a lot of your partners end up becoming close friends because of the way you build relationships?
That's a good question. I think, they're first my friends, but what I mean by friends is because I do a lot of like outbound social kind of networking events. I meet these women at events. It's like we naturally attract
have a connect
to each other. And then we just, it's not like I'm intentionally saying, okay, you're one day going to decorate. It just so happens that's what they do. And then I'm like, let's do this together. Because to me, it's like that support.
Yeah, and I think when you and the other person, I'm going to use your word, vibe with each other, you want them in your space, in your life. And I think when you also see their qualities, right? And if it resonates with you, it's like, why not bring that positive energy? And sometimes, like you said, you just know it's the right person for that project or for that part of your life. And you don't always, we sometimes can't explain it, but we just know. That's very strong. But no, I give you that.
No, it's cool. It's cool. So because I find that over and over, and it's really interesting because even other people we have on the show, it's a lot of it's like having like-minded people around. And so, whether someone starts off as a business partner and then becomes a really close friend, and it's again because your interests, your thought processes, and that's why I asked that question. Like, is it because you find that common element with these people, and that's why you're also close friends at the same time, or is it because they're friends already?
They're just straight vibes.
Right, straight vibes. It goes back to that. Yeah. You're showing me the time because we got to take a break?
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to take a quick break, and then we'll be right back.
Hey guys, we're taking a quick break just to remind you where you can find our podcast online.
You can find us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Tunes.
Apple Music, but you call it Apple Tunes.
Whatever.
Right. You can also find us on TuneIn, on Google Play, and of course Instagram when we do it the first Tuesday of every month.
And Facebook, here and there.
Here and there.
Here and there.
So thanks for tuning in, and now back to our podcast.
All right, welcome back. The Hulk is still with us.
Yes.
Wonder Woman
Here
in her
to
mind
stay.
is still with us. Cream-faced Sagar is still with us. And Kavita, luckily enough, hasn't left yet.
I know, right? She's like, okay, these guys are like sane and
they're
normal.
nuts. No, she's like, they're nuts.
No, I have to say I didn't have the opportunity to do so, but thank you for choosing to podcast me on your.
Well, thank you for being here.
And
I know we've been trying to make this work for a while, but it's like you said, things happen when the timing is right.
Yeah. And I just feel good that we're doing this tonight, in the atmosphere that the world is in right now. That just kind of.
So for those listening, we're right in the crux of the whole coronavirus and like all that stuff that's going on around the world with that.
So I just think this
positivity is so key.
We don't need to stop living. We still need to do our thing.
And I've been telling a lot of people, when they reach out and we talk about it. I'm like, you know what? Yes, there's a lot of things that are happening, but we can use this time to do some self-care
reflection
and and just to spend time
Slow it down.
Readjusting, slowing down. It's like the world has forced us, like the universe has forced us to like slow down, think about what we want, where we want to go, and I guarantee you, when the new normal comes back, it's going to be an amazing year for every single person.
Well, I think Kavita said it earlier too. Like sometimes you take breaks not because you want to or you think it's right. It's just the timing tells you that this is your time to take a break. And I kind of think that's what's happening now. But I think you also mentioned that that's a time for you to reflect and think about yourself, your branding for your spa, and like your branding just overall. So talk to us a bit about the branding of the spa, and then we're going to talk to you a bit about you as a brand, because Kavita Suri is a personal brand too. So we're going to get into that, but I want to finish off with the spa stuff first. So talk about the branding behind that.
So then we transitioned. So I found this space. I fell in love with it. I mean, the concept of branding is to have a logo, a mission statement,
right,
all this stuff. That's never been my concept. My branding has always been personality, and literally knocking on doors and shaking hands with everyone that walks by you and making sure that you're making a connection. That's my branding.
Personal connections are everything. Yeah,
relationship connection is what brought the business to where it is. And Infuse Med Spa has that exact same branding concept because naturally I'm the owner, so this is what it stands for and what.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
I think it's important as the business owner in a beautiful city like Toronto to keep your finger on the pulse. So try to get involved with community events, engage in speaking events, and so forth. So this is what I've always done since the get-go, is to always get involved with outside events, community events and stuff. So
you do that quite actively, whether it's in the fashion industry or in the beauty industry or in general, like when it comes to just motivating other women entrepreneurs. So how do you pick and choose where you're going to speak or where you're going to be presented or where you're going to represent both yourself, your brand, and the message that you carry?
So I actually don't choose it. It comes to me.
Right.
So the opportunity will come to me. I've never said no to an event.
Which is great.
Yeah.
And what kind of things do you find are the appropriate message or the appropriate place for you to get your messaging out? Because again, it's your messaging is one of positivity. It's one of personal branding. It's one of like smart women entrepreneurship. There's some key things that keep coming up in our conversations today. So how do you formulate that into what you're going to say and represent when you're outside?
So it really depends on, what the nature of the event is that I'm invited to. So if it's, a speaking engagement, most of the time it is speaking about my journey and speaking about strength within that journey to inspire. Right. So that's basically, I get invited to events
to talk about that.
To talk about your, what inspires me, and not like I'm there talking about skincare and how to do laser hair removal. It's about the representation of a businesswoman and how she made it.
So now you also get called on a lot to model.
Yeah.
Which is really cool too, because you get to see you get to showcase the other side of you. Like, it's a passion. It's something you said you've been doing since you were young.
Yeah.
So what kind of work do you do there, and how does that sort of fit into the personal branding?
So I really was just focusing on the business aspect when it comes to makeup and teaching, like the spa, and I would always have, one or two people or a handful of people be like, why are you not like modeling? Why are you not a big influencer? Why are you not on YouTube?
Right.
And I'm just not for it. I'm like I said, I'm a connector. I want to be with people all the time. Yeah. So I must have been, I would say, what it was 2000? So 2018. It was a very prominent conversation. A lot of people, they're like, okay, your body's great, you're beautiful, like you need to get out there and start putting yourself out there a little bit more and brand yourself in that way. So I said, okay, well, if I'm going to do it, I don't want to be a model.
Okay. Right.
I actually...
So define to you, so you said you have that with a bit of a connotation. So define in your mind what model means and why you don't want to be a model.
Model to me, like from what I've growing up to is just an object, a model,
Okay.
like a model car, a model home.
Right.
Like it's just an object, right? But what I want to represent is a message through whatever I do. So it so bees it that I decided that in 2019 I'm going to, hire a photographer and get myself out there a little bit more when it comes to curvy models, right?
Okay.
So, or curvy body positivity, not models. So it was in the middle of 2018, I decided that, and then my girlfriend who owns the girls that own the store on Queen were revamping their store, and I saw on their Instagram that they were like going to have some curvy outfits, and I said to Vava, I said, she was in for a facial, and I said, so you and Angela are not curvy girls.
Yeah.
So if you're looking for someone to put some clothes on,
I'm right
curvy,
here.
let's do it. So we did a photo shoot with the very small collection that they had, and it sold out within that weekend.
Holy wow.
And their stuff usually sells pretty well.
Yeah.
But I think that's also again where when I was like following you and I saw that and I followed them too, I was like, holy man, this is like power to her. And I think that was one of that's and just for someone, and we had not met yet at that time. I was like, okay, I'm gonna meet this woman one day, and I know something's gonna happen. And I just said that I left it, and
Here we are.
Here we are, and that happens a lot with me. I realize I just tell you stuff.
Yeah. What's connections? It's like Kavita said, Kavita and I have known each other for a long time, and it's connections. Like you want positive people around, right? So you've done a lot of this, positive body imaging, and putting yourself out there. Was that scary for you? Was it something that was different? Because when you're doing it when you're young, really young, versus but in your mind, it's fun and it's nice to do, but at the same token, it's a little bit scary.
It is, because you're just kind of like, what if? I mainly was more worried about what my mom was gonna say.
Of course.
Even though I'm 40, you still worry about those
22.
things. And yeah, 22. But she's still. There's been some photos where she's like, "What is this?"
Yeah.
Mom, I'm not selling my body. There's nothing in this communication in my comments that show any kind of
But
You're sending positive messages.
anything
said,
that
parents.
anyone. Yeah, I'm not, trying to lick at ice cream and stick my booty out. I'm not doing that stuff.
But ice cream is tasty sometimes. There's nothing wrong with ice cream.
There isn't. You do that behind doors.
That's what. Just like there's nothing wrong with hand cream. There's nothing wrong with ice cream.
I'll just write them with yes. Where's the ice cream?
Where's the ice cream? Give me ice cream. That's the Hulk voice. Give me ice cream. So you started a bit of this. I'm going to call it a movement with the positive body image.
Yeah.
And is it something that you want to continue now that you've seen the positive light that it brings to the conversation, or is it it's still something that's
No, I'm embracing it. I've taken it to where I wanted it to, because even during the time that a lot of people when I was telling my friends, I'm like, okay, so I'm going to do this curvy modeling stuff. I think it's time. Being curvy is a thing now, right? It was always a thing, but now it's a big thing. So I called modeling agencies, and I really didn't like the way they spoke to me, how they treated me. So I was like, I'm just going to do this
on my own. Yeah. And that's actually a really good point you bring up, because sometimes and we had a show just specifically on this where certain industries or certain parts of the industry are still looking for a very specific body type, right? So what was some of those conversations like when you called agencies? What was the feedback?
The agencies that I did call had the curvy plus size category. But it was more like, I feel like they judged you based on how many Instagram followers you have.
Yeah.
Right. So it's still about your social
I
media.
don't care for that shit. I'm just whatever, man. You're missing out. I can make a lot of money for your agency, but it's fine.
Yeah, but then there are also a lot of women who are going the freelance route as models, or as women who are representing a certain message that they want to give out, and they're very, very successful as well. But sometimes we don't need an agency; you just need to be you and just go.
What's the message? It's the positive messaging I think people are looking for, right? And if you're out there and you're doing it genuinely, you're not like I know you, so I can say it. You do everything you do is genuine. So it's not coming across as I'm doing this to get likes and to get, because that's not your
No,
vibe. It's not what you're about,
No.
right? Even when you're business, you're not about build a popularity. You're about building connections, relationships, and building something. So for anybody that comes here, you want the experience. So I think it's the same thing when you're doing the personal branding, whether it's online or whatever forum that you're using.
100%. So
So are you going to continue to do some more? Are we going to see some more of the Kavita Suri?
yes,
Photo
of
shoots?
course.
Photo shoots?
Yeah, of course. I'm on it. I did 2 shoots this past 3 weeks, and we did over 12 looks, and those are getting edited, and I can't wait to build content on that.
Oh, we can't wait to see that.
Yeah.
What's your Instagram, just so people they hear it, they know where to find you?
Infuse Med Spa.
Yep.
And then Kavita Suri _Beauty Inc.
And we will make sure that we have that.
Yeah, it's gonna be in the description. We'll write it
so
in there.
Don't worry about that.
Yeah. And so now I want to get into a little bit about your work in the fashion industry. It's not work, it's something I think it's more involvement. It's a bit more of a passion project. So you do, as you mentioned, some work with TFA. We know that you're heavily involved with our friends at FGI as well.
Yes.
So talk to us a bit about the involvement there and what sort of things you're doing in that world.
So Claudia, who is now the board of directors for Chapter 2020,
Regional director.
is-
I learned.
Yes, you
I had to
learned that
memorize
last time.
it. Yeah, I had to memorize it.
director.
Yeah. But she's a good friend of ours too.
Yeah, she truly is someone who works super hard.
Yeah, she's
a fellow Scorpio like myself, so
There
I
you
just
go.
totally understand her.
she's an incredible inspiration.
She's inspiring. She's ready to help anybody.
That's very true.
She's a builder,
Yeah.
100% builder. So with that being said, she saw me doing some work at TFA. Like I think I was there for a shoot, and she stopped me, and I probably saw her a couple of times at some events, and she's like, I want you to be part of this organization called FGI, and I want you to be part of the board of directors. So I was like,
Sounds like her.
Yeah, that's
and
incredible.
I said, okay, well, I mean, I'm in the middle of a shoot. Let's talk. What is this about? So then her and I obviously
You got
talked
together.
afterwards, and she explained to me what this organization is about, and I said, but why do you want me to be part of the board of direction? She's like, I have seen you like the way you are. You're so humble with your status that you have in this community. You would never expect someone, it comes off very manly, very, conceited feel when you look at, beauty stuff. But she's like, you are absolutely kind and you're hardworking and you're doing great things out here in Toronto.
Right.
So I don't know that. Like I'm just in my little bubble again. Like I just do my own thing, like create and just make magic happen, right? So my application got accepted out by the New York Board of Directors, and now we're here. So we did 2 great events, absolutely successful events. Did you come to the Art of Fashion?
I was there.
Okay.
I've done.
I was not in town.
Yeah.
So he was not in town, and we are also like content sponsors. So I think that's where we spoke about how you did not know this was a video, but Asara did not tell you that.
Yeah.
He just told you, yes, come into the podcast, and you were like, and I
What
told
are we
her,
doing?
and so that's where she and I were actually having that conversation.
Right.
And then we made fun of you as well.
For sure, that's okay. I'm okay with that.
And then
He's like, I quit.
I was somewhere in the world putting hand cream on my face. That's what was happening during that time.
So I think, being part of the board of directors, being one of the first beauty professionals in the fashion group was a great honor to take that lead. Like out of everyone in the city that I had been nominated and chosen for the board of directors. So I really take this role obviously seriously. I'm really looking forward to seeing what unfolds within this year with the fashion group international. And it's a community, it's a nonprofit community which helps other fashion entrepreneurs, artists, beauty entrepreneurs to come together within events and learn and grow and shake hands with each other.
And that's the one thing I've noticed. So, and this is, this was a bit new to you, but I had been part of it in 2018, bit of last year, as a member, and then I stepped back a little bit, and then now I came back. I sent in my application in September because I was also doing New York Fashion Week, so just had to make sense while I came back. And then when I found out that Claudia was going to be the regional director, and then just seeing the board, and I've heard of some of the members, and I personally know some of them too, and I was like, it's gonna be a fucking fabulous.
Yeah, and
I just knew it. I was like,
Yeah.
Claudia vibes.
Yeah,
I
it's been
cannot
great.
wait. Yeah.
I mean, hearing some of the things from Claudia directly, like the stuff they're working on is really cool.
Really
right?
good.
And the way they want to bring the industry together is
And
really
then
nice.
we got super honored that we sent in our coverage on for the Jan event,
Yeah.
and then Claudia was like, "Yeah, you guys are gonna be our official content sponsor."
Yeah.
And we were just like, "High five!"
Yeah,
It's a great honor. And like
Yeah.
I said, if you're gonna represent and work with a group, like that's such a great
I
group.
really hope you can come to events already.
I've been to and I will. Like, we have. Well, first we have to be there because we have to cover it, and second, the dates are ready, so we're good.
Perfect. Yeah.
It's just when we got this the contract and we saw the dates, like the couple of first dates already had commitments, so we're like, okay, we'll work around it, and then
Stop having those commitments.
and I just block off all my.
Yeah, just give me your schedule and I'll tell you what to do.
Okay.
Good luck. I've been trying that for a year, and it's still a battle. And I'm just like, dude, just give me your talent.
What is it with you and turning things back at me? what is going on here? We're supposed to be friends.
I love you.
I know.
We're all friends.
Yeah,
We just care.
No, but it's what, like as I've blocked out like just some of the events I know that I've been to in the past and what they're going to be doing this year, it is really exciting and looking really forward to it. So let's sort of close off with any sort of messages you have for anyone that is sort of a newer entrepreneur, a growing entrepreneur, whatever stage they're at. Because they could be a seasoned entrepreneur with their business, but something that you may have experienced that you think would be a good message for anyone to hear who's running a business, whether it's in the fashion industry or beauty industry or whatever industry you're in.
I think we touched on this a little bit in this podcast, is surround yourself with like-minded people and don't be afraid to ask someone to be your mentor.
You hear that over and
Don't
over.
be afraid to say.
It's such a big piece.
You look up to someone and say, "I want to be in this industry. You need to hold my hand for the next 3 months with this." And
Yes.
just do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've been blessed where I've had many mentors and spiritual mentors guide me through my life and are still guiding me.
Yeah, those and that's an amazing message to bring across, because I think mentors are, like you said, the guiding light. Like they're able to give you direction. They're able to give, like, they may have been through things that, I made this mistake. Don't do it this way.
Yeah.
Like, these are things to think about.
Yeah.
If this is the goal you want to achieve, here's avenues to look at and types of conversations you should have and things you should be working towards, right? So
And then they also help you open up other areas of your life, or like of yourself as well, that you didn't realize that you needed to maybe work on or just tap into.
Yeah.
So I'm all.
and being genuine and humble about it, like I said that earlier, you are. I think that makes a big difference, because I think like you, for example, you said Claudia, who asked you to join. Like, she's seen it. Like, people see that.
People see that.
I think people see through fake, right? If you're being a piece of shit, they're gonna see that you're a piece of shit. Yeah, you can't be a piece
And
of
one
shit.
more thing that I do also believe in is consistency. So to be consistent, like you said, to be that consistent person, to be that consistent business, and no matter if it's two people coming in that that year, that's going to multiply within 20 years in your life, which I've been doing this business for.
And sometimes that's hard. It's hard because it's like it's moving so slow.
You're 22.
22. But right? Like, it's sometimes like, well, okay, like, I'm being consistent, but like nothing's changing, because it's you're taking it as baby steps.
Yeah.
Not looking at the grand picture sometimes in that moment,
Steps.
right? So that's absolutely, consistency is key. So I don't need to say this because Rashi already knows what I'm going to say now.
What?
We always end off with Rashi having her final thoughts.
Oh.
The show doesn't end without that.
Okay.
So we're going to let her.
She does not know me that well.
Oh, I'm just saying, people who listen to us know that this is our common formula. Like, the show doesn't end without Rashi speaking. So we're
Go
gonna
ahead, Rashi.
we're gonna let her
Yours.
say her final piece, and then we're gonna close off.
So, on a final note, as our wonderful and beautiful guest, Kavita, has said that we need to, sometimes tap into ourselves. We need to believe in our energies and have mentors and just be true to what you're doing. And like Sadr has, said that he uses hand cream on your face. Please do not do that. Like, we do have
Currently, I have a
beauty
beautiful
expert.
face, so I'm okay
So,
with that. Use the hand cream. I like the hand cream.
We do have a beauty expert. Please reach out to her for your face and hand needs. Don't necessarily follow Sadr's beauty routine.
Never claim to be a beauty expert.
And until next week, guys, this is your co-host.
Great.
Your co-host. Stylish Rashi.
Is she calling her a co-host?
No.
We're both.
Oh, okay.
So we'll take a quick second to describe it. So up until like earlier this year, it was because my moniker is your host Sati. Like it's just what I use because that's what I do. And so Rashi had it as stylist. But she's like, I'm also a co-host. I'm like, yeah. Because she's like, people just think like I'm a guest on the show. I'm like,
so you have to say
yeah.
co-host.
So we just make sure. She's like, let's make sure make it clear. But it's just funny because now we say it.
I'm the co-host.
Yeah, now we say it, but it's like we make fun of it at the same time. So now you know the story. All right, so it's your host Sati. Thank you for tuning in, and we will see you guys next week.
Peace out.